Hello again. Lydia here to help you make some dollars and cents out of estate planning. Today we are going to take a quick look at what happens to property during the probate process. Let's face it, everything you own at your death is going to someone. Somehow. In some way. Maybe you will have a clearly written last will and testament, or then maybe you never got around to creating a will at all. Either way, after you are gone, those decisions of who gets what, how and when will be monitored and sometimes influenced by a legal process known as probate. Before we get too deep into the probate process, let's take a look at the different categories of property that might pass through probate and property types that pass outside of probate. We can do this by creating a flowchart. We start with the total net estate in the top position. Below, we can divide the property into 4 categories of how assets could be transferred. The first category is the probate estate. These assets, subject to the probate process, are further divided into 2 subcategories. The first is those assets distributed by will or testate. The second subcategory is for assets transferring intestate, meaning the individual died without a will and the state intestacy laws will determine who gets what and when. The next category is title law. Here the subcategories are tenants by entity and joint tenants. The next general category is contract law. In this group, assets transfer by beneficiary designations or payable and transfer on death accounts. The last category is trust law, which can be either revocable or irrevocable. What makes these last 3 categories unique is that as property passes to the heirs, it passes outside of the probate process. For example, let's say your client purchased a life insurance policy on their life, paid the premium from a separately owned account, and named their spouse as the beneficiary. At the client's death, the insurance proceeds will be paid directly to the spouse, avoiding probate. In contrast, let's say the client failed to name a beneficiary, and to further complicate things, the client has a child from a prior marriage. Because the insurance premium was paid with the client's separate individual property, under Wisconsin intestate law, the spouse would receive 50% and the stepchild would receive 50%. In addition to the additional complexities of the probate process, like delays that can last several months, court and attorney fees, and the lack of privacy. And can you imagine the surviving spouse's unexpected astonishment and the potential conflict that might develop with the stepson? Given this subsequent scenario, your client and the heirs might be very surprised at the outcome. Well, again, I hope I have given you some insight into estate planning and specifically into how probate works. Given this example, you will want to pay close attention to these key concepts and vocabulary words found in Chapter 4. Until next time, it is Lydia reminding you that a neglected estate plan can lead to unnecessary financial burdens for your clients and their loved ones.